I was on my second deployment, and we were preparing to depart Kuwait and cross the border into Iraq. And we were lined up in convoy formation. And I could see the border within about a half a mile. And all the briefings had been taking place, and we were just waiting for the word to go. And one of the young officers came by my vehicle, and he asked if I had any Eucharist. And I looked on his face, and I saw someone who was truly hungry and truly felt the need for sustenance through the Eucharist. And I remembered back to me trying to facilitate the Lord's Supper in a meaningful way and trying different prayers and making the bread myself. And the negative experience I had with prepackaged um, communion, and it really, that stayed with me until the time and to this day. But it was a major contributor to me considering coming into the Catholic Church and really moving from believing that Christ was present in a spiritual sense in the Eucharist to realizing that he was fully present, body, blood, and divinity. And then my first time at adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, the Lord brought it all together. I'd gone to my first Catholic Mass. That wasn't a part of a wedding or official occasion, and I was needing to understand what worship was like. If I was going to consider the Catholic Church, I had to know what worship was like. I couldn't just read about it. So I went to a Friday morning Mass, and I was not aware that at the end of the Mass there would be the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. Then once the Mass ended, Father Martin said, well, some of you may want to remain. We're going to have the blessed adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. And I thought this would be interesting. This will truly be interesting because I've heard about this, but I didn't really understand the significance of it. And I didn't get the sacredness of it. And as I knelt in prayer, and I had my head bowed, and as Father Martin placed the Blessed Sacrament on the altar, I looked up, and immediately I had to look away. And I became aware, and at that moment, it's almost as if all those experiences from the soldier who came to me hungry, and from my readings and from other testimonies came into fruition. And I cried out to God, Lord, is that you? Question mark, exclamation mark. And then as I slowly, after repeated attempts, was able to view the Blessed Sacrament, my heart cried out, Lord, that is you. That for me was a Eucharistic miracle. We're in the Eucharistic revival now, but that was a miracle for me because it all came together. Then I understand he was fully present, body, blood, and divinity in the Eucharist. I had met weekly with Father Martin for several months, and then I realized that for me to walk in all the light that God was shining on my path, to be a faithful disciple, I had to be responsible to what he had revealed to me in the Blessed Sacrament, the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, and in what I had learned and my experience in the Mass and with my initial experience in the church. So for me, it began and was foundational with the Eucharist. And we were looking at the Sundays. We literally looked at the calendar coming up, and there was the Feast of Corpus Christi. And I asked Father Martin, I said, I would like to come in on that day. And I said, is that okay? And he said, most definitely. And I was honored And then I began to research and study about the wonderful miracle that occurred in Bolsena, Italy. And I came in that day, and it was such a perfect culmination for me. It ended one chapter and really began the next, which I think will last the rest of my life into eternity with Him.